Hello everyone, Luke Boothman back here for Apex Wilderness Adventures, and so we're going to continue on with the service appointment trigger refactor. It's actually Adventure Park trigger refactor, and we have this service appointment handler that we're going to move over into the existing handler helper as well as our test. So let's go ahead and we'll do this first. So all this code now, because we cleaned it up last time, it's going to sit pretty nicely inside the update context. But if we have anything there already, let's take a look. So this is going to be after update, if you remember. After update. So we have some code here already, so we can't just kind of take this wholesale like we did the after insert code. We're going to take our variables first, and we're going to take our condition, and we'll see if we have the old park, which we do. Okay. And then we have our calling. And the only thing that needs to be done here is we need to move that method from the handler to the helper. And we can put that down here at the bottom, I think is good. Okay, let's see. Okay. Venture Park trigger helper. It's probably just being slow. So let's go ahead and save that. And then let's try and say, yeah, there we go. It just took a second to figure out where it was. And now this is totally gutted, which is great. And we can remove the reference here. And we can delete this here. Save that. And the trigger. And finally, we'll move our test over. And this can go at the bottom. And then we will add the test reference to the helper. There we go. Alrighty. So now this is dead, and that is dead. We've gutted those, so we can delete this. We can delete this. And then we'll rerun our tests. Let's go and fold these. So we can see how easy it is to move it. You know, once we've redesigned that code so that it fits into our existing expectation of like how our design works, it's not so hard to move it. If you don't do that first though, it can be very challenging and you'll be dealing with bugs for a long time. So, you know, it's kind of like you're getting everything tightened up and cleaned up, and then you can get your hands around it and there's a test around it. The unit test is really important because then you can just lift it up and move it over, you know. So I think we're pretty good here. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at our helper. The only thing that we're missing now is we're missing the code coverage for the update on deactivating. Now we do deactivate, I think, here in this after update, when we're checking for the open date, we're checking if the activation is changed. And if it's a new and there's not an inactive date, then we're going to run this logic. So we kind of already have a test for this. But we can go ahead and write a new one. So let's go ahead and commit this first. So move final logic from standalone helper to trigger handler helper. All right. Cool. So the last thing we're going to do here is we're going to create a new test. Should set service appointment status to what? To none. To none when deactivated. Alrighty. So it's kind of like this code. We'll take a lot of this. And we'll say that it's going to start its life as active. So we'll create the service appointment. So we can just do a sanity check here. Okay, so it should be created when we insert an active park with an open date. And then we're going to mark it to false. And when we do, the status should change to none. Run that. Let's go ahead and add our test ref while that's running. It's good. This is wrong. I put that in the wrong place. So let's move that, and that actually is here. So one of these is on insert with a new park, the other one's with an existing park, but they're both touching the same code. And that's kind of nice to see, right? We're reusing these methods, but they're testing different contexts. So now we can see that there's two different tests for them, and that's pretty good. All right, so the last thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to run my code coverage, and I'm going to see what we're at. I think it should be pretty good. All right, 100%, baby. That's for the helper. Oops. Let's commit that real quick. So I think everything's looking good. Create coverage for status update to none and fix test ref. Okay. And just for fun, we could have, done this again with kind of getting the coverage back up, but there's kind of a nice feature in Illuminated Cloud. Usually it's really useful is that if you have a code that's changed and you run your test with coverage, it'll show just that. You can change it. It's just like a filter. So anyway, 100%, 100%, 100%. Awesome, right? It doesn't have to be 100%, but it's nice when it is. And in our case, there's no reason why it shouldn't be. The only time there's really, you're going to run into code where you can't cover it 100%. It's usually when you're catching an exception that you can't really make happen, but you just want to prevent it in your production level code. Um, so, there's times when you can't be 100%, and that's all good. All right. This is looking great. Okay. So we've really come a long way in this code. And I think what we're going to do next time is, so I think we'll keep this video short. Let's just take a quick look at what we have, and then we're going to wrap up this conclusively in the next video. So our trigger itself is very focused. We have the before insert, which comes before after insert in terms of the sequence. We have our before update, which also comes before the after update, which makes sense. It's kind of in the order that you would expect. You're just going to have an insert before you're going to have an update. That's nice. Our code here also follows the same pattern, so it's very easy to read. Corresponds to the same sequence in the trigger. Before insert, after, before update, after update. And then we have our code, and we have a variable that collects the required data when a condition is met during the context of the trigger code running. And then once we've collected that data, we check to see if it's not empty, and if it's not, we call the appropriate helper. And this pattern is followed with 100% consistency all throughout our code. The only place that it's different is on the before update, because we're going to update the record as it is. We don't need to fetch it, and it's kind of part of the mechanism of triggers. We could even move this code into a flow, and I kind of believe that that's a good thing to do, is to move before update and before insert code usually into a flow, especially when it's this simple. This is a better place for it, probably. That would be a better place for it. And then the after update. So we have our collections, we have our single loop where we check all of our conditions, and then we call the appropriate helper. And our helper is well ordered as well. So, these correspond to different methods. We have our test refs for everything that's public. And our helpers are organized in that they're pretty much in the order that things happen above. So we create related data. What does that mean? Well, if we care, it's to create accounts, to create products, to create price book entries, and create assets. And they are organized. So that's nice, easy to read, easy to follow. We're not, scrolling up and down, looking all over the place for stuff, which is cool. We have an instance where there's a public method that's used in both an insert and update context. So there's tests for both, which is smart to do. And then our tests themselves are also well organized. They have good names. Each of them is formed correctly, where you have our given, our when, and our then. And the only thing that we could do more is if we wanted to go deeper and to make sure our assertions are strong. For example, when we create an account, right now we're just checking that it was created, but we're not really checking its makeup. So we could, if we wanted to go a little bit deeper and we had the time, we could say, okay, the account source is supposed to be automation. Is it, right? Is there a related adventure park? Is this the correct adventure park, right? So we could add some more assertions, which would be good. And those things are really important because, automation is complicated. Although you think your code's doing one thing, it does it inside that context. But when that, account update happens or that account insert happens, more code runs. When the product is inserted, more code runs. Same for price book entries and assets. And when all those things run, they may do an update to an adventure park or to an account, and then they change those values. So even if it's not bad behavior necessarily, it's good to know it. And that way we kind of see the relationship between our automation, because that's the challenge in automation. It's not hard to write this stuff. It's not hard to refactor it. It's not hard to read it necessarily. The hard part comes, the really truly hard part comes whenever you're dealing with a system of automation and it's spread across class files and different types of automation. And so the thing that you think should happen does happen, but because that happens, a bunch of other things happen. And when a bunch of those other things happen, other things can happen. And it can be very, very difficult to predict what's going to happen. It can be quite chaotic if your code isn't structured well. So, there definitely is a case to add more assertions, and I think that would be a good exercise for you to work on if you wanted to take this to the next level. Add some more assertions. But I think that's it for now. This is where we've ended up. And I think next time we're going to just take a look at where we came from and kind of tie a bow on an adventure park trigger. So thank you so much. I hope this has been useful, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.